So, got a little project that I'm. This last post that I posted about I drew a aquaponics system on paper, and what I'm doing now is I've already placed my order with a friend who is a plumber and has access to all kinds of cool uh, parts and really a wide selection of stuff that can be used for plumbing. So everything from sewer to water supplies to uh, uh, emergency pump outs, whatever. Anyway, they have access to all this cool stuff. So what I've done is uh, set myself up. So in a few days, I have a 125 gallon uh, fish tank that's coming to me that is already kind of pre-plumbed already with pipes and already has a lot of the stuff that's going to be necessary to do what I'm going to be doing with this aquaponics system here in the shop. So, my thing is I grew up, in a farm labor family, basically, farm laborers and transient, I guess you could say, migrant farm workers are my ancestors. So, myself, growing up as a kid in this type of environment, you learn a lot of really cool stuff. So my elders, I learned how to do, gardening and how to plant and how to trim and, harvest and all that stuff. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating a ecosystem in my shop because my shop is always, and I can leave the heater off for a few days, but downstairs I have neighbors that run their heater, and heat rises. So my shop is usually pretty comfortable. So it stays at about I don't know. Let's just walk over here real quick and look at what the temperature and the humidity and barometer says, and we have it here. So humidity, we're right in the middle of humid and normal. So we're pretty good right there. And that's because we are raining outside. So everything looks pretty close. I mean, pretty close to average. Thermometer says that it's 67 in here indoors. And outside, I mean, it's raining. The report this morning said it was going to be 54. So there's like a 15-degree difference indoors compared to outdoors here where I'm at. So anyway, the plan is I'm prepping for my aquaponics system so that when it's up and running, I already have my saplings and my babies already, my baby plants already ready to go and drop into baskets or into into the system. So what I have here is I have prepped already a container that's going to be kind of like my little mini aquaponics system that will be really easy to use because the way I'm doing it is I'm putting rocks in the bottom of the planter so that it could sit down in the water and it'll always have the moisture that it needs up through to pull from. So I've created this little mini basket here. You can see, which these are my planters that I'm going to use. Here I have just some rocks that I'll put in the bottom of these. So as we're going here, this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a couple, 2 or 3 in each one and try to keep them average size. So that there's kind of a little water table at the bottom of the soil, right? And like this, we don't wind up with that root rot thing too heavily where we have an issue with moisture, right? So that's what that kind of looks like before we put the soil, right? So when we're done with that, we can set that aside. Now, you see here I've prepped these coconut shell husk, or whatever you want, cocoa husk pellets that come pre-pressed and dried, dehydrated, and you have to soak them in water in order for them to do anything. So my plan here is just to put this just like that, right? Dump out half of it, which takes up the difference in the bottom. And then we just flip her over, and that gives us a soft spot in the bag, in the pouch, right? See how that works? So you just squeeze out about 1/3 of it, flatten it out on the bottom, and then just press this right up against it. And then you have a little pocket around the side where you'll be able to keep an eye out for roots, right? Which the roots will probably start growing out through the bottom before they come out the sides. And that's it's cool. It's all good. That one kind of squished out both ends on me. So now there we go. Seeing that little bit that's on the bottom serves as a leveler, just to kind of level out the playing field a little bit. All right. And there we go. A little bit more on the bottom. And flip that over. Now we have our little bowl to plant with. Right? And these, the reason I like these is because once the plant has grown and it starts to show roots coming out of it, then it's ready to be planted in whatever type of environment or system you plan on using, whether it be just in a greenhouse, in a box, or a planter, hydroponics, aquaponics, whatever, it doesn't matter. But these, you could just slice the side of it with either a razor or just rip it with your hand, and then you unroll the fabric from around it, and you just run it under water in a bucket, and then you can strain out the water, and you still have your material that you could use for another plant later if you wanted to. But point is that this stuff is pretty cool. You can be reused, and you know, they say not to reuse your stuff, but you know, we're recycling right now, basically, by using. This is a used planter that came from the store with some. There was a sticker on one of these marigolds, right? And these are basically the same thing. They're just, you know, these are starter trays. So these, you would normally stick one of these in here, right? And you would start your plants with the seeds inside the hole, and then you just kind of cover it up, and those grow. So as of right now, we're just going to stick these in here so they're kind of contained, right? And then we can actually take these sponges and do it like that with these too. Now the bigger side seems to fit better, right? But you see here, I've already started this one the other way, so this one will wind up going, will stay in here and gets a lid on it, and it stays pretty cool where it's at. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself up here to where, taking this one, and I'm going to kind of bring it around the sides a little bit, just so that these don't fall over, right? And it's kind of loosely in there, right? And that's that, right? See? Okay, now it'll stay in one place, right? A little bit more, same thing, around the sides. And it's the same material. The difference is that this one is a big one that came in a package that we bought for some white paper flowers, and I already had a pot already ready to go with a better soil mixture that I wanted to put those bulbs in. So that's where that wound up, and I wound up with this extra pellet of this coconut husk
hummus, I don't know, whatever they call it. There's a couple different words I've heard of used, but it's coconut. Coconut shell is, I guess you would call it. And it's very, very high in protein and really good, holds moisture very well, and has all the nutrients just like regular soil would, from what I understand. So I mean, it's really good for starting plants. I know that. And then we feed them all the nutrients that we want to feed them, that they need anyway, through the solution that we use in the water, right? So when they say hydroponics, it's just the constant feeding with water. Aquaponics is a little bit different, which they use fish in the process. So hydroponics is one thing, aquaponics is another. Very similar in the method. The difference is aquaponics drains, will fills all the way up to the rim, and then with the siphoning mechanism, it'll drop the water and release it back into a tank, and then it refills it back up, and just constantly does that. So like that, you don't get the root rot, and you constantly aerating the rock and your surface like that, and the plant's roots. So there you go. Right now we know. Now we got this pretty much set up and ready to go. Now the other trick. Okay, now this here, we're going to move this aside because that's going to be used for something later. But this here, okay, now this is the way I do this. Now to keep these from being, too far down in the water, what we do is we set it up on the little platform like this, and then you have, you can go up to about 2/3 of the way on the planter itself, on the pot, and then like that, it's only the little teeny bit of the bottom that's actually getting the water down there for the roots. Okay, so now this was my plan, and since I already have babies started, I have this really cool little tool. That I like to use to transplant my plants, and it's basically just a dentist hook, which they use for cleaning teeth or pulling plaque. So basically what I do is I put that in the center here, which there's already kind of a hole that's kind of already pre-made in these pellets, so it's kind of already there. So the reason I had this tray here was because I wanted to make it so that we could basically kind of dump these out, but we need to scoop underneath. So the idea is get the plant loose, right, and kind of loosen up the roots a little bit so that we could just slide it right out. See there, it comes out complete, roots and all. So now all this soil is going to get mixed up and used for something else later, right? It'll be reused again. So that's kind of how I do things. I really like to recycle stuff. So without rinsing or kind of violating these roots much more than they already have been, because I've already transplanted them 2 times now since they were born. And see there, the root is just kind of stuck there like that, right? And then you can push it down with the hook gently, right? Kind of set the rest of it up, and then all you do is just push down and just kind of ease down everything with it, right? See how that worked? That was beautiful. I don't think that could have gone any more smoother than that, even if I tried. Right, there it is. There's one. All right, there's that one. Now we got a few different ones that were in different pots, and they're all about the same age. And I was trying different soil stuff, you know, different ideas or whatever to see if I could get these, if they would grow any different. And I didn't really get any difference in the growth pattern or the growth size, as you can tell, from one soil to the next. So this is, it's what you see is what you get, I guess, when it comes to babies, because they only grow so fast anyway. All right, so we got our hole ready. Slide that bad boy in there. Boom, boom. Everybody get in place. Bam. Sometimes you have to back it out a little bit, different. But for the most part, everybody's in there. Now we just need to stand her up and kind of press down around the sides. That one didn't quite go as planned. So what we do is we'll take a little bit more of this, build up around it, so it has a little bit of support, right? There we go. Bam. Beautiful. Okay. Now this soil can go back in. And the reason I do this is because I like to double check and make sure that I don't have any roots, any extra roots in there that might change anything later for a different plant or something. All of a sudden we have things sprouting up that we weren't expecting. Which is not a bad thing. It's just unexpected. And if you don't recognize what a plant looks like when it comes up, if you don't know you know, the appearance or what they look like or what type of plant you're working with, all of a sudden you got this strange looking thing coming up. It's like, what? Alright, we got another one here. See what I mean by a difference in size? These are all germinated around the same.
Well, we decided to settle down and grow some roots. We weren't kidding, we meant it literally, and this is a good example of what growing roots truly means.
Okay, so the next step here from this basket for this little hydroponics deal that I'm doing is for your plant food and your water, which is all in one inclusive. So you can either go, like if you have, you know, like in my case, I have fish. So I keep fish usually at my shop or at my home. Usually, if, you know, I'm not traveling and I'm not on the road and I have a home, I have a fish tank. That just has to be. So, which I have two here in the tattoo shop, and like I said before, I have a 125 gallon tank that's coming here in the next day or two that's being treated and being cleaned right now. So, but anyway, I have this plant food that I picked up that is one of the old school as seen on TV products. But this is Eleanor's VF-11, and it says, you know, it seems like magic. Use it on all your plants. You can use it for it aids African violets to blossom frequently, aids ferns to grow lush, aids creeping plants to grow vigorous growth. In this bottle, you may find that green thumb you've been looking for all your life. Yeah, well, you know what? I have a tomato plant in there that was this big, and since I started using this stuff a week ago, it's doubled in size. So I'm going with it's true with what it says on the bottle. Okay, but so now what I found is, okay, I was using a cloning solution that is actually this was a free sample, was given to me by my friend over at the South Coast Hydroponics supply right here in Brookings, Oregon. And this is a free sample that they give out, but you know, you just gotta, it's an insider thing, man. If you don't have the inside information, you don't have that. So that's where that whole insider thing comes in handy. You know, you know the right people, you get the right information. So, but that comes with time. You know, you just got to talk to people, and you meet people, and you start to have conversations, and things happen. So anyway, this one here is a little bit stronger on a couple other items. So I'm just going to compare the two here. Eleanor's has 15% nitrogen. This Grow Better one here only has 5%. So this one has 10% more. Phosphate, phosphoric acid. This one has 0.85. The other one has 1%. So it kind of balances out on that one. On soluble potash, this one has 5%. This one has 59%. So they kind of average out. So this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to do for a gallon of water. Okay. This one says 15 milliliters. Okay, for a gallon. This one here for a gallon. Full bottle cap for each quart. And on the other bottle it says you could still use it for hydroponics, which is the same exact level. Okay, so for a gallon it takes 2 caps of this. So that's what we're going to do here. We got a gallon of water that I've already poured in here, and it's got some floaties in there, but it's all right. So we're going to do, instead of 4, we're only doing 2 of these. 1, 2. Oops, sorry, I kind of had that up high, didn't I? All right, so anyway, and then this one was a full cap, or 15, yeah, that's a cap. So this one here, we're only going to go with a half, and that's that. Okay, so that's our solution for the water. Okay, now the way I'm doing this is I'm using 1 gallon of this, and then I'm going to take whatever the balance is, and I'm going to use fish water from my fish tank for the other half. And the way I'm going to do this is once a week until my hydroponic system is set up and these grow whatever size they grow. It doesn't matter, but it may be a week to 2 weeks before I'm final and I'm set up and I'm happy with the way it's running. I'm going to switch out this water every 7 days. So today is Thursday. So next Thursday we're going to switch out this water one more time. Now before I pour this in here, I'm going to put it where it's going to stay for a while. I'm not going to be moving this thing around until it's time to drain out the water, and then I'll use a pump or a siphon hose or whatever to drain out most of the water, or just use a cup and scoop it out into a bucket. So and as it goes out, when it drains and it drains out, then I'll replenish it with the fresh water. So let's go over, and I got to make some room in the grow room for this. So I'm going to rearrange some stuff real quick, and we'll be right back.